The empirical heart Darian Mercer adjusted the calibration on his quantum scanner for the third time that morning. Readings still don't make sense, he muttered to himself. The research station's white walls reflected the artificial lighting as he hunched over his workstation. For 15 years, Darian had built his reputation as Earth's leading quantum physicist. His algorithms had revolutionized interstellar travel. His name appeared in every scientific journal. His life was ordered, reliable, predictable, and that was precisely how he preferred it. Still obsessing over those anomalies from Neva? Asked Orion as he entered the lab carrying 2 steaming cups. The scent of synthetic coffee filled the room. Darian accepted the cup without looking up. These energy patterns shouldn't exist. They violate every known law of physics. Orion leaned against the desk. The Galactic Science Council wants answers. They're sending us there next month. Darian finally looked up. Us. You're leading the expedition. Orion smiled. Congratulations. The news should have excited him. Instead, a strange uneasiness settled in his stomach. Neve, a supposedly dead planet, had suddenly begun emitting energy signatures unlike anything recorded in the known. Universe expedition teams had found only ruins and strange crystalline formations. No life, no technology, just inexplicable energy. What if it's just radiation from the crystal formations? Darian suggested. Or some kind of natural phenomenon we haven't cataloged yet. Orion shrugged. That's why they're sending you. Find the rational explanation. There are rumors going around that it might be evidence of... He lowered his voice dramatically. Magic. Darian scoffed. Magic is what primitive cultures called science they didn't understand. There's always a logical explanation. That night in his sparse apartment, Darian dreamed of violet light and whispered words in a language he'd never heard. Upon waking, he dismissed it as his subconscious processing. The day's events. The journey to Nevae took 3 weeks in hypersleep. Darian spent his waking hours reviewing previous expedition data and preparing his team. Lieutenant Selene managed security. Dr. Farid handled xenobiology. Professor Jin specialized in ancient civilizations while Orion served as his research assistant. As their ship entered Nevae's atmosphere, Darian felt that same strange uneasiness from weeks before. Something about this planet called to him in ways he couldn't articulate. They landed in a valley surrounded by the ruins of what might have once been a city. Crystalline structures jutted from the ground like frozen waves catching the light of the binary stars overhead. The air felt charged as if, before a lightning storm, energy. Readings are off the charts, said Orion, examining his device. But there's no radiation, no recognizable power source. Set up base camp here, Darian instructed. No one explores alone. Stick to standard protocols. That night, while the others slept, Darian found himself restless. He stepped outside their shelter, gazing at the unfamiliar constellations overhead. The crystals seemed to pulse with inner light, creating patterns across the landscape. A whisper caught his attention. Something moved. Among the ruins, a flash of violet. Against all his training, against all logic, Darian followed. The crystalline structures grew denser as he ventured deeper into the ruins. Light pulsed around him, seemingly responding to his presence. Turning a corner, he stopped short. His breath catching, in a clearing stood a woman. Her skin was the color of twilight, a luminous violet. Her eyes held the same glow as the crystals surrounding her. She wore flowing garments that seemed to merge with the air itself. I've been waiting for you, Darian, she said, her voice melodic and somehow familiar, though he knew they'd never met. Who are you? He demanded, trying to keep his voice steady. How do you know my name? She smiled, and the crystals around them brightened. I am Thalia, last of the Nevae Luminari. We have always known you would return. Return. Darian shook his head. I've never been here before. Your conscious mind hasn't, she agreed. But your soul. She extended her hand toward him. Your soul remembers every scientific principle Darian had ever learned told him to retreat, to report this, to report her. But something deeper, something he couldn't explain, kept him rooted to the spot. There's no such thing as souls, he said weakly. Just consciousness emergent, from neural activity. Thalia's laughter was like wind chimes. Is that what they teach now? Tell me, scientist, how do you explain this? She gestured, and the crystals around them rose into the air, hovering, defying gravity, defying everything Darien believed about the universe. A trick, he whispered. Some technology I don't understand yet. Not technology. Thalia stepped closer. Connection. The energy that binds all living things. Something your world has forgotten. As she approached, Darien stepped back. Stay where you are. Are you afraid of me? She asked. Or afraid that everything you believe might be wrong? Before he could answer, his communicator chirped, Orion's voice breaking the moment. Darien, where are you? The readings just spiked when Darien looked up again. Thalia was gone, leaving only a faint violet glow among the crystals and questions that would haunt him through the night. Whispers Between Worlds morning arrived with a cascade of questions from Darien's team. Your biosignature was all over the ruins last night, Selene said. Her eyes narrowed with suspicion. Protocol states no solo exploration. I couldn't sleep, Darien replied, avoiding direct eye contact. Thought I'd take some preliminary readings. The lie felt heavy on his tongue. He, who had always valued empirical truth above all else, was now concealing his encounter. Orion studied him with concern. The energy pattern spiked precisely where you were standing. Did you notice anything unusual? An image of Thalia's violet skin glowing in the starlight flashed through Darien's mind. Nothing conclusive, he said. Let's proceed with our scheduled exploration. They spent the day mapping the crystalline structures. Professor Jin documented symbols etched into the ruins, while Dr. Farid collected samples for analysis. The team worked methodically, scientifically, yet Darien found his thoughts drifting repeatedly to the violet-skinned woman and her impossible demonstration. These crystals, Dr. Farid announced during their midday break. They appear to be responding to our presence, changing their molecular structure when touched. That's not possible, Darien said automatically, though the words now felt hollow. Yet it's happening, Dr. Farid countered. The impossible seems quite at home on Neve. As twilight descended, Darien found himself drawn back to the clearing where he'd met Thalia. This time he brought his equipment, determined to document whatever phenomenon had created the illusion of floating crystals. The clearing was empty when he arrived. No violet-skinned woman. No hovering crystals. Just ruins and silence. Were you expecting something else? Thalia's voice came from behind him. Darien spun around, heart racing. I want answers, real answers, not mystical nonsense. And yet you came alone, she observed. Your curiosity overrides your skepticism. Darien activated his scanner. Whatever you did last night, I'll find the explanation. The technology, the trick. Thalia circled him, her movements fluid like water. No technology, no deception, just connection. The energy that flows through all living things, through you, through me. Prove. Darien challenged. If this isn't technology, then what is it? Place your hand on the crystal. She gestured to a formation beside him. Feel, don't think. Against his better judgment, Darien complied, placing his palm against the cool surface. Nothing happened. You're blocking yourself, Thalia said softly. Your mind creates barriers, your thoughts are too loud. This is ridiculous. Darien began to pull away. Wait. Thalia moved behind him. Her presence radiated warmth, though she didn't touch him. Close your eyes. Reluctantly, he obeyed. Breathe, she whispered. Feel the connection between your atoms, and the crystal's boundaries are illusions we create. Something shifted beneath his palm. The crystal warmed. A tingling sensation spread up his arm like gentle electricity. Without opening his eyes, he knew the crystal was glowing brighter, responding to him. What's happening? He whispered, his voice unsteady. You're remembering. Thalia said, your cells, Your very essence recalls what your mind has forgotten. When Darian opened his eyes, the crystal beneath his hand pulsed with inner light, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. His heartbeat. A coincidence, he said weakly. Some kind of resonance phenomenon. Thalia smiled patiently. Your science has words for fragments of truth but misses the whole. Why does it frighten you so? I'm not frightened, Darian insisted, removing his hand from the crystal. I'm a scientist, I observe. I analyze, I explain. And when you cannot explain, then I haven't discovered the right parameters yet. Thalia stepped closer, her violet eyes reflecting starlight. What if some truths exist beyond parameters? What if connection transcends measurement? Something about her nearness made Darian's thoughts scatter. His usual ordered mind felt chaotic. Emotions he typically suppressed rose to the surface. Who are you, really? I am the last luminary, she said. When Nevi was abandoned millennia ago, most of my people chose to disperse their energy back to the stars. Only a few remained in physical form to safeguard our knowledge until the right souls returned. And you believe I'm one of these, returning souls. I know you are. Her certainty was unnerving. Your energy signature. The pattern of your essence, I would recognize it across 1,000 lifetimes. Darian's scientific mind scrambled for rational explanations. Shared hallucination. Unknown airborne compounds affecting neural function. Sophisticated technology masquerading as magic. Yet another part of him, a part he rarely acknowledged, responded to her words with recognition. Tomorrow, Thalia said, interrupting his thoughts. Come to the temple at the heart of the ruins, come alone. Why would I do that? Because despite your denials, you feel it too. The connection, the recognition. Something calling you beyond the boundaries of what you believe is possible. Before he could respond, she placed her hand near his chest, not touching but close enough that he felt an inexplicable warmth radiating between them. Your team is searching for you, she said, stepping back. Return to them. But remember, Darian Mercer, the universe is vaster than your equations allow. She turned and walked into the ruins, seeming to fade into the shadows, leaving Darian alone with his scanner, which now displayed impossible readings, and a mind increasingly divided between what he knew and what he felt. When he returned to camp, his team bombarded him with questions about his absence. Darian provided vague answers about investigating energy fluctuations. He couldn't explain why he kept Thalia's existence secret. Not to his team, not even to himself. That night his dreams were filled with violet light and memories that couldn't possibly be his stars, viewed from unfamiliar skies, cities of crystal and light, ancient knowledge flowing like water, and through it all, a sense of profound loss and longing for something he couldn't name. He awoke with tears on his face for the first time since childhood. Touching his damp cheeks, he whispered to the empty room, "What's happening to me?" The crystals outside his window pulsed once in, response as if answering a question he hadn't yet learned to ask. Fragments of Stardust morning briefing felt like an exercise in deception. Today we'll focus on the central ruins, Darian announced, avoiding Orion's concerned gaze. Professor Jin believes there might be significant cultural artifacts there, Mao. Analysis shows increased energy concentrations in that area, Orion added, studying his tablet, almost as if something is drawing power toward the center. Darian's heart raced. The temple Thalia had mentioned. We'll proceed with caution standard. Protocols apply. As the team gathered their equipment, Dr. Farid approached Darian. The crystal samples I collected yesterday, they're changing how? Their molecular structure is shifting, almost as if they're responding to something, and there's another thing. He lowered his voice. I found traces of unknown compounds in your blood work from yesterday's routine scan. Darian stiffened. What kind of compounds? Nothing I can identify. They almost appear to be quantum particles in constant flux, something that shouldn't be possible in a biological system. Before Darian could respond, Lieutenant Celine called the team to depart. The journey to the central ruins took several hours. The crystalline structures grew more elaborate as they approached, more intentional in their design. Professor Jin documented everything, his excitement growing with each new discovery. "These aren't natural formations," he declared. "They're architectural, deliberate. This was a civilization of extraordinary advancement." Darian barely heard him. His senses were overwhelmed by a growing resonance like music, just beyond hearing something, pulled him forward. A recognition. A memory that wasn't his own. They reached a massive structure at the heart of the ruins, a temple of crystal and stone. Its entrance adorned with spiraling patterns that seemed to move when viewed from the corner of one's eye. "Remarkable preservation," Professor Jin whispered. "These markings, they tell a story." "What kind of story?" Celine asked, her hand resting on her weapon, a soldier's instinct for caution, never fully dormant. "Something about energy and transformation." Jin traced the symbols with reverent fingers. "About beings who could manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe, not through technology but through consciousness itself." Darian felt lightheaded, as if the air had suddenly thinned. "We should document everything. Set up the scanning equipment here, Darian." Orion caught his arm. "Are you all right? You look pale." "I'm fine. Just fascinated." Another lie. How many had he told since landing on this planet? As the team busied themselves with their tasks, Darian found himself drawn to a narrow passage leading deeper into the temple, away from the others. Conflicting impulses warred within him. Scientific protocol demanded he stay with his team. But something else, something inexplicable, pulled him forward. "I'll check this corridor." He called to the others. "Stay here until I confirm it's stable." Before anyone could object, he slipped into the passage. The walls were lined with crystals that illuminated as he passed. Their light seemed to respond to his presence, growing brighter with each step. The passage opened into a vast chamber. Its ceiling rose impossibly high, adorned with what looked like a map of stars. Not as they appeared now, but as they might have existed millennia ago. At the chamber's center stood Thalia, her violet skin luminous in the crystal light. "You came," she said simply. "I shouldn't be here," Darian replied, though he made no move to leave. "My team will be occupied for some time. The temple reveals itself differently to each visitor." Darian approached cautiously. "What is this place really?" "The heart of remembrance." Thalia gestured around them. "Where the Luminari preserved their most precious knowledge, where the boundaries between past and present grow thin." Knowledge of what? Connection. The energy that binds all consciousness. How to channel it, shape it. How to transcend the limitations of physical form. She moved toward a crystalline altar. How to remember, Darian followed, feeling both drawn and resistant. Remember what? Who you were, who we were. Her eyes met his, filled with an emotion he couldn't name. Before the separation, before your kind chose technology over connection, before my people abandoned physical form. This is absurd, Darian said. Yet his voice lacked conviction. I'm a scientist from Earth. I've never been here before. Your current form hasn't, Thalia agreed. But energy cannot be created or destroyed. Only transformed souls are energy patterns. Darian, complex, unique, persistent. They return, they remember. She extended her hand. Let me show you. Something in her gesture broke through his resistance. Despite everything his scientific mind shouted, he reached out. Their fingers didn't quite touch. A breath of space remained between them. Yet in that space something impossible happened. Energy, visible energy like violet lightning, arced between their hands. Darian gasped as images flooded his mind. A younger Nevi, vibrant and alive himself in another form, walking these same paths, Thalia beside him. Their hands entwined as they manipulated the energy around them, creating, shaping, transforming love and connection and purpose intertwined. Then darkness. Fire, separation. a choice made in desperation. His promise to return, he pulled back, stumbling. What was that memory? Thalia said softly. Truth, your truth. Some kind of telepathic suggestion, he managed, though his voice shook. Neural manipulation. Is that easier to believe than the truth? That your soul has returned as you promised it would? That the connection between us transcends time and form? Darian pressed, his hands to his temples. I don't believe in souls in past lives in any of this. Yet you felt it. She stepped closer. The recognition. The knowing why fight what your deepest self acknowledges. Before he could answer, a voice called from the passage. Darian. Orion appeared at the entrance, his eyes widening as he saw Thalia. What is this? Who is she? Thalia turned toward the newcomer. You've brought others to the heart sooner than expected. Darian explained. Orion demanded, his hand moving too. His communicator, Lieutenant Celine, should know. Darian moved between them. There's no danger. She's a survivor, a native of Nevae. Orion stared in disbelief. That's impossible. All scans showed no sentient life. Your scans search for what you expect to find. Thalia said, not what truly exists. The communicator in Orion's hand crackled too. Life. Celine's voice sharp with concern. Orion, report, have you found him? Orion hesitated, looking between Darian and the violet-skinned woman. I need to tell them. Please, Darian said. Let me explain first. Let me understand. Something in his voice must have reached his friend. Orion lowered the communicator. 5 minutes, then we all talk. As Orion stepped back into the passage, Thalia approached Darian. Your world is colliding with mine sooner than I anticipated. What happens now? That depends on you, she said. On what you choose to believe, on what you're willing to remember. She placed her hand over his heart, not touching, but close enough that he felt that same inexplicable warmth. Return with your friends tonight, but come back at midnight. Come alone and I will show you everything. Why should I trust you? Her smile held centuries of patience. Because despite your doubts, you already do. When Darian rejoined his team, he fabricated a story about finding a holographic recording system and ancient technology preserving the image of Neve's inhabitants. They accepted his explanation with varying degrees of skepticism. His reputation, his logical mind had always made him trustworthy. That night, as his team slept, Darian lay, awake, watching the stars through the shelter's transparent ceiling. Stars that felt increasingly familiar. Strange memories continued to surface. Images, feelings, knowledge he couldn't possibly possess. At midnight he rose silently. The choice already made, though the scientist in him still questioned the man he was becoming already knew. The truth waited in the heart of remembrance, and so did she. The Quantum Bridge. The night air hummed with energy as Darian made his way back to the temple. Crystals illuminated his path, responding to his presence in ways that no longer seemed entirely mysterious. His scientific mind still searched for explanations, but another part of him, the part growing stronger with each passing hour on Neva, whispered of deeper truths. The temple entrance seemed to welcome him, patterns shifting, rearranging themselves as if recognizing his return. The passage to the heart of remembrance now appeared wider, more defined than before, as if the structure itself was encouraging his journey. Thalia waited in the chamber, her violet form silhouetted against the star map that covered the ceiling. You came, she said, and though her expression remained serene, Darian sensed relief in her voice. I had to know, he replied. Whatever this is, whatever's happening to me, I need to understand. She approached with that fluid grace that seemed more than human. Understanding comes in many forms. Your science seeks to categorize, to separate. To truly know Nevae, you must learn to connect. Then teach me. The words emerged with surprising certainty. Show me what you believe I need to remember. Thalia led him to the center of the chamber, where a circular platform rose slightly from the floor. Intricate patterns spiraled across its surface, resembling both circuit diagrams and artistic mandalas simultaneously. The nexus, she explained, where all energies converge, where memories crystallize into knowledge. What do I do? Stand here. She positioned herself opposite him on the platform. And open yourself to possibility. Darian hesitated. I've spent my entire life following evidence, testing hypotheses, trusting only. What can be measured? And has that brought you fulfillment? She asked. Has that answered the questions that wake you in the night when equations fail to explain the longing in your heart? Her words struck with unexpected precision. Darian had always dismissed his occasional sense of emptiness as irrelevant, a distraction from his work. But standing here facing this enigmatic being, he could no longer deny the void he'd carried within him. A space that all his scientific achievements had never filled. No. He admitted finally, it hasn't. Thalia nodded. Then perhaps it's time to expand your methodology, to consider that some truths reveal themselves only when we stop demanding they conform to our expectations. She extended her hands' palms up. Connection requires vulnerability. Darian. The courage to be changed by what you discover. Drawing a deep breath. Darian placed his hands above hers, not quite touching. Just as before. The space between them filled with visible energy. Violet and, gold intertwining. Close your eyes, Thalia whispered. And remember, the world dissolved. He was no longer Darian Mercer, quantum physicist from Earth. He was violent energy sculptor of Nevi, walking the crystal cities, hand in hand with Thalia, both of them luminari. Both able to shape reality through focused consciousness and emotional resonance. He saw their life together. Centuries of connection, research, exploration, the joy they created together, the knowledge they shared, then the cataclysm, the choice Earth colonies demanding Nevia's resources, the luminari refusing to weaponize their abilities, the final decision. The majority of luminari choosing to transcend physical form, becoming pure energy, rather than engage in conflict. Thalia, and a few others remaining behind to preserve their knowledge, to wait. Violin, his past self, making a different choice, promising to reincarnate among the humans, to learn their ways, to eventually return. When the time was right, to bridge the worlds, the separation, the pain, the promise. I will find you again when the stars align, when the bridge between worlds can be rebuilt, lifetimes passing his energy reborn again and again, carrying fragments of memory but never the whole, drawn to science, to understanding energy but missing the crucial element, connection, love, the power that transcended physical laws. Then now, this moment, this recognition, the completion of a cycle begun millennia ago. Darian gasped as awareness returned. His body trembled, tears streaming down his face. I remember, he whispered. I remember everything. The energy between their hands had grown so bright it illuminated the entire chamber. Their palms now touched skin to skin, violet to human. The contact sent waves of sensation through Darian's body, every cell humming with recognition. The separation was necessary, Thalia said, her voice resonating both in his ears and in his mind. Your journey among humans has given you understanding of both worlds. You are the bridge, Darian, the quantum entanglement between two realities. My team, he said, suddenly remembering, the Galactic Science Council. They want Nevi's resources, its energy. Yes. Thalia's expression grew solemn. History threatens to repeat itself. But this time we have you, one who understands both worlds, one who can translate between them. They won't believe me. They'll think I've lost my mind. Show them. She said simply. Your connection to Nevi's energy is reawakened. The luminary gifts are yours once more. As if responding to her words, Darian felt something unfurl within him. Knowledge, awareness, power he'd forgotten he possessed. He extended his hand toward a nearby crystal and focused. In response, the crystal rose from its setting, hovering above his palm. Impossible, he whispered. Yet he was doing it, not impossible. Thalia corrected. Just forgotten. The ability to directly influence energy fields through consciousness. It was once the birthright of all sentient beings. Human, luminary, and others. Your kind chose technology instead. External tools rather than internal development. Darian lowered the crystal gently back to its place. There's so much to relearn. And little time. Thalia's expression turned urgent. Your team. Grows suspicious Orion has contacted your ship in orbit requesting additional personnel. How do you know that? I hear the energy transmissions. Just as you once did. Just as you can again. She took his hands. Darian, you must choose. What happens? Next depends on your decision. Return to your people, lead them to exploit Neve or stay help. Rebuild what was lost. Help create something new. A bridge between worlds. The scientist he had been would have dismissed the choice as absurd. His career, his reputation, his entire understanding of reality weighted against mystical connection to an alien being and her supposedly magical world. But he was no longer just that scientist. Something had awakened within him. Something true. Something remembered. I can't abandon my team, he said finally. But I won't let them destroy what they don't understand either. Dawn approached as Darian made his way back to the research station, his mind racing with impossible knowledge and equally impossible plans. Orion waited outside, looking worried and sleep-deprived. Where have you been? His friend demanded. I covered for you with the others, but Darian, this has to stop. Whatever's happening to you. I need to show you something. Darian interrupted. Something that will change everything we thought we knew about Neve, about the universe. You're not yourself, Orion said. Your readings are all wrong. Your behavior erratic. I've requested medical intervention from the ship. Orion, please. Just give me one chance to explain, to demonstrate. His friend hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. One chance, then we do this by the book. Darian led him away from the camp to a small clearing surrounded by crystal formations. The binary suns were just beginning to rise, casting the landscape in golden light. What I'm about to show you defies everything we've been taught to believe, Darian said, but I need you to watch with an open mind. Drawing a deep breath, he extended his hands toward the nearest crystal formation, focusing his consciousness connecting to the energy field that he now perceived everywhere around them. With a thought, he lifted not just one crystal, but the entire formation, dozens of crystalline shards rising in unison, forming a spiraling pattern in the air above them. Orion stumbled backward, his face pale with shock. How are you doing that? Not technology, Darian said, maintaining the formation with growing confidence. Connection, direct manipulation of energy fields through consciousness, something humans once knew, something we can learn again. The crystals danced in complex patterns, responding to his thoughts, his emotions, reflecting the joy he felt at remembering this part of himself. This is impossible, Orion whispered. This changes everything. Yes, Darian agreed, lowering the crystals gently back to earth. It does. In that moment between darkness and dawn, between disbelief and acceptance, Darian felt the first true happiness he'd known in this lifetime. The bridge between worlds had begun to form, and he stood at its center, ready to cross, ready to build, ready to connect what had been divided for far too long. The choice was made, the transformation begun. Now he needed to convince the others that what they sought on Neve wasn't resources to exploit, but wisdom to embrace a different kind of power, one born not of domination but of connection. Beyond calculation, the research station buzzed with tension as Darian faced his assembled team. Their expressions ranged from fascination to fear to outright disbelief. Professor Jin couldn't stop staring at the crystal hovering above Darian's outstretched palm while Lieutenant Celine kept one hand on her weapon. It's not a trick, Darian said softly. Not technology, not hallucination. What you're seeing is the direct manipulation of energy fields through focused consciousness. Impossible, Dr. Farid whispered, though his scientific curiosity clearly battled with his skepticism. The energy requirements alone would be astronomical. Not if the energy comes from within. Darian allowed the crystal to settle gently on the table. From the connection between all things, something your instruments can detect but not fully measure. The compound in your bloodstream. Dr. Farid realized. It's changing you. Not changing, Darian corrected. Awakening. Something that was always there. Something that exists. In all of us dormant, forgotten. Orion, who had witnessed the full demonstration earlier, stepped forward. I've seen what he can do. It defies everything we know, but it's real. The Galactic Science Council sent us to investigate anomalous energy readings. Darian continued. To determine if Neve held resources worth harvesting, what we've found is far more valuable. Knowledge understanding, a different way of existing in the universe. Even if what you're saying is true, Lieutenant Celine spoke for, the first time our mission parameters are clear, document extract report. And if we do that, Darian asked, what happens to Neve, to Thalia, and her knowledge? The Violet Woman. Professor Jin's eyes widened. She's real, very real, and she's been waiting for us. For me. Darian took a deep breath. There's something else you need to know. Something that changes everything. He told them then. About Thalia. About the Luminari. About his own past life as Valen. About the connection between worlds that had been severed millennia ago. About the choice now facing them. You expect us to believe you're the reincarnation of an alien energy being? Celine's voice dripped with skepticism. I expect you to consider the evidence before you, Darian replied. To question what you think you know. To wonder if there might be more to reality than what we can currently measure. The symbols in the temple, Professor Jin said suddenly. They speak of cyclical return of energy patterns that persist through transformation of consciousness that transcends physical form. He looked at Darian with new understanding. You're the bridge they predicted. Correlation isn't causation, Dr. Farid countered, though his voice lacked conviction. This could be an elaborate deception. To what end? Darian asked. Think about it. Why would Neve create such an elaborate ruse? Silence fell as each member of the team wrestled with implications that challenged their fundamental understanding of reality. I propose an alternative mission, Darian said finally. Instead of extracting resources, we document knowledge. Instead of exploitation, we seek exchange. Let me bring Thalia here. Let her demonstrate what I've only begun to understand. After hours of debate, they agreed, though skepticism remained. Curiosity prevailed. Thalia arrived at sunset, her violet presence transforming the sterile research station into something otherworldly. Professor Jin could barely contain his excitement while Dr. Farid prepared. Every scanning device available. Your instruments will detect much, Thalia said with gentle amusement. But understand, little true knowledge comes through experience, through connection. Over the following days, she demonstrated abilities that defied scientific explanation, manipulating matter through thought, creating light from darkness, sharing memories across minds, healing with a touch. Each demonstration meticulously documented, each explanation challenging the team's understanding of reality. Dr. Farid discovered that the compound in Darian's bloodstream existed in all humans in minute quantities, quantum entanglement at a cellular level. He marveled. The potential applications are endless. Professor Jin immersed himself in the temple. Records, their history, their knowledge, it's all here. Not lost, just waiting to be remembered. Even Lieutenant Celine found her skepticism waning, especially after Thalia helped heal an old combat injury. I don't understand it, she admitted, but I can't deny the results. Only Orion seemed troubled, growing quieter as the days passed. Finally, he confronted Darien during a rare moment alone. The council won't accept this. They'll send others, they'll take what they want by force. Not if we give them something more valuable. Darien replied, not resource extraction, but knowledge exchange, not dominance, but partnership. You've changed, Orion observed. The Darien I knew would never speak this way. I've remembered. Darien corrected. Who? I was who I can be again. Who we all can be. The decision to contact the Galactic Science Council came after much debate. The transmission carefully worded explaining their discoveries without revealing everything. A diplomatic opening, a suggestion. Of mutual benefit. Will it be enough? Thalia asked as they stood together watching the binary sunset. Crystal formations glittered across the landscape, pulsing with energy that Darien now recognized as conscious alive. I don't know, he admitted, but it's a beginning. She turned to him, her violet eyes reflecting the fading light. And us, what of our beginning? The question held centuries of waiting, of hoping. Darien took her hands, feeling the now familiar surge of energy between them. I made a promise long ago to return, to remember, to rebuild what was lost. And now that you remember. Her voice was soft, vulnerable. What do you choose? In answer, he closed the distance between them. Their lips met in a kiss that transcended physical sensation, energy patterns intertwining, memories flowing between them, past, present, future, merging into a single moment of perfect connection. When they finally parted, stars had emerged overhead. I choose this, he whispered. I choose us. I choose the bridge between worlds. 3 months later, the temple at Neve's heart hummed with activity. Human scientists worked alongside newly awakened luminari, those who, like Thalia, had remained in physical form to preserve their knowledge. Teams from the Galactic Science Council arrived not to extract but to learn. Their initial skepticism fading as evidence mounted, as abilities awakened, as connection grew. Darien stood at the center of it all, 1 foot in each world. His scientific mind now complemented by luminary wisdom, his human compassion enhanced by memories that spanned lifetimes. Beside him always was Thalia, their bond strengthening with each passing day, their energy so frequently intertwined that others often couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. The first human luminary children will be born soon, Thalia said as they watched a group of scientists learning to manipulate crystal formations through focused consciousness. A new generation, a true merging, not just human and luminary. Darien replied, but science and connection, technology and consciousness, measurement and experience. The Quantum Bridge program, as Earth had named it, expanded beyond expectations. Humans with latent abilities discovered they could awaken their own connection to energy fields. Through practice, through patience, through opening themselves to possibility. The compound in their bloodstream, once dormant, now active. Not everyone could do it. Not everyone wanted to. But enough. The beginning of something new. Something transformative. Reports from Earth spoke of changes, unexpected benefits. The techniques learned on Neve applied to quantum computing, to energy production, to healing. Each breakthrough bringing the worlds closer together. Each connection strengthening the bridge. We have much still to learn, Thalia said, and much to remember, and an eternity to do both. Darien replied. That night, as binary moons rose over Nevi, Darien and Thalia stood at the highest point of the temple. The restored crystal city spread below them, glittering with combined light. Technological and consciousness created evidence of what could be accomplished when artificial boundaries dissolved. Thalia's hand found his, their fingers, intertwining, violet and human, yet increasingly the same. Their energies merged, creating a glow visible from orbit, a beacon, a promise, a bridge. The stars remember, she whispered, even when we forget. And now we remember too. Darien replied, above them the cosmos stretched infinite with possibility. Behind them 2 civilizations took their first steps toward reunion. Between them flowed the energy that connected all things, the power that transcended physical laws, the force that some called magic, others called quantum entanglement, but that both now recognized as the same phenomenon viewed through different lenses. In that moment, standing between worlds, between identities, between past and future, Darian finally understood the equation he'd been trying to solve his entire life. The fundamental truth that unified all others. The answer to questions, both scientific and spiritual connection, was everything. Everything was connection, and in that knowledge, in that remembrance, in that love was power beyond calculation, the end.